Now we've spoken before about legendary places from lore that may have had real-world counterparts, from the mythical kingdom of Hy-Brasil and rumored to be somewhere in France to the fabled lost city of Atlantis. Now, I want to tell you about another legendary place, one steeped in Celtic folklore that is said to have been seen off the west coast of Ireland. It's called Hy-Brasil. Before I jump into it though, now back to our story. The mist part on the endless expanse of the ocean. We can see a pair of ships making their way across the sea. It's 6th century Ireland and they are sailing west, but there is a thick fog bank ahead. As they approach it though, suddenly the fog clears and the sailors find themselves in calm waters. The fog bank vanished as quickly as it appeared. But there is something else here too, because rising up out of the water not far off is an island, seemingly out of nowhere. There is green land, white cliffs and waterfalls cascading over its sides. And best of all, there is a great city within which glitters with gold. Its towers and domes shine bright in the sun, and from it can be heard the sound of harps and drums and the voices of men. The sailors, awestruck by what they are seeing, drop anchor and row ashore. They soon find that everything they could want is available in the city. Plenty of food and drink, beautiful clothing, houses to rest in, and no lack of gold. And besides these wonders, the people they meet are kind and welcoming. So they stay for some time enjoying all the festivities until they hear the mournful sound of horns. When they ask the locals about it, they are told that it is the sound of the gates of the island closing, which will only happen when the last of the visitors leaves. And soon the sound grows louder and the sailors realize that it is time to depart. As they sail away, they catch one last glimpse of the island before it disappears into the fog. Those who saw this wondrous place recorded what they had seen on old maps, and for centuries afterwards, sailors would look for this magical island, never to find it again. This is the story of Hy-Brasil, which comes to us from Irish and Scottish folklore. In many ways, Hy-Brasil is similar to the Isle of Avalon, which was said to be the mythical home of King Arthur's wizard mentor, Merlin, and where Arthur was taken after he was mortally wounded at the Battle of Camlan. According to a 12th century manuscript called the Lever na Hudra, written in Ireland, Hy-Brasil lies 200 miles off the west coast of Ireland, hidden behind a curtain of fog. Some legends say it is only visible once every 7 years. It is said that if you find the island, then you can live out the remainder of your days there in peace and tranquility, and any troubles you had on earth will vanish like mist on the wind. The name Hy-Brasil itself seems to come from two parts, Hy meaning island and Brasil possibly coming from a Gaulish word meaning shining or speckled. There are various tales about the island going back to the 8th century, including one in which Saint Brendan the Navigator, or Brinain Bwairsh in Gaelic, becomes shipwrecked on the island while on a voyage to the New World. Brendan, one of Ireland's patron saints, was known for his travels and missionary work, but also for his visions of otherworldly lands. In fact, Brendan is said to have written about his voyages to the 6th century, but these writings are lost to history. What we know about him comes from the 8th century text called the Navigatio Sancti Brendani, or the Voyage of Saint Brendan, in which the saint and his 14 companions are caught in a storm and blown off course to the east. There they encounter many strange beasts and sights, including fish that can walk on land, birds that can speak, and enchanted islands. After sailing for 30 days, they come upon a beautiful island with tall trees, clear rivers, and blooming flowers. Here they are greeted by a beautiful woman named Dana, who tells them that the island is called Hy-Brasil and was previously ruled by a tyrannical king. She asks for Brendan's help to free her people from his rule. So Brendan leads the others inland to find the king's castle, where they defeat the king and his knights and free the people of Hy-Brasil. According to the tale, Hy-Brasil was originally inhabited by giants, but the Tuatha De Danann, the principal group of supernatural beings in Irish mythology, came and drove them out, settling there instead. However, because of the mist that surrounds the island, the Tuatha De Danann became isolated from the rest of the world. When Brendan and his men arrive, They are the first outsiders to make contact with the people of Hy-Brasil in a long time. The people of Hy-Brasil had become quite inventive during their isolation, and the sailors are astonished at the wonders they had created, such as self-lighting candles and baths that fill themselves. They are also amazed by the beauty of the women, who are said to be very fair of skin and striking of feature. After staying for a time, the people beg Brendan to return them to their homeland, so he takes them back on his ship. As they depart, Hy-Brasil sinks beneath the waves, taking its secrets and its people with it. Forevermore, the sailors who witnessed these marvels wrote of them down on old charts and maps, and for centuries after, sailors would search the seas around Ireland looking for Hy-Brasil. But how true is the legend? Could there have been a real Hy-Brasil that sank beneath the waves, or was it merely a figment of the sailors' imaginations? Some scholars believe that Hy-Brasil was nothing more than a mirage, which could easily be mistaken for a real island. In fact, even today, there are reports of people seeing the Phantom Island and others who claim to have found it and landed on it only to find nothing but empty beaches and cliffs. Another theory is that Hy-Brasil represents a lost landmass that sank beneath the ocean long ago. Proponents of this theory point to the fact that there are underwater features off the coast of Ireland that could be the remnants of Hy-Brasil. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, and it remains speculation. Yet another theory is that Hy-Brasil was an illusion created by nature or perhaps even ancient magic. After all, the island is often shrouded in mist, and the mist is said to have magical properties that can confuse and disorient those who encounter it. Perhaps the most compelling theory, however, is that Hy-Brasil was simply a dream, one that was shared by many sailors over the centuries. Dreams can be powerful things, often offering glimpses into our subconscious minds and sometimes even giving us glimpses of other realms of existence. If Hy-Brasil was a dream, then it makes sense that so many sailors had the same vision of the island. It may have been a manifestation of their collective unconscious, a kind of archetype that has been passed down from one generation of sailors to the next. Whatever the truth may be, the legend of Hy-Brasil continues to fascinate us. For centuries, it has inspired artists, writers, and dreamers alike. Perhaps there is a lesson to be learned here, a reminder that there are still mysteries in our world that we may never fully understand. But that's not the end of the story, because we all know about the legendary Bermuda Triangle, right? Where ships and planes go missing without a trace. Well, it turns out that Hy-Brasil may have had something to do with this mysterious region. See, according to some accounts, Hy-Brasil was located near the mouth of the River Shannon in southwest Ireland, and that puts it pretty close to the edge of the infamous Bermuda Triangle. Some believe that Hy-Brasil was actually part of the Bermuda Triangle, and that it was the magical island that drew ships and planes into its mysterious depths. Others believe that Hy-Brasil itself was the cause of the Bermuda Triangle, that its magic created the storms and fog that have caused so much havoc to sailors and pilots over the years. And of course, we can't forget about the ancient Druids, you know, those mysterious Celtic priests who are said to have possessed great knowledge of the occult. Some believe that the Druids of Hy-Brasil were responsible for creating the Bermuda Triangle as a way to protect their sacred island from outsiders. Or maybe they were simply too powerful for their own good and their magic got out of control. Whatever the truth may be, it's clear that Hy-Brasil and the Bermuda Triangle are linked in some way. And if you want to learn more about the triangle and its many mysteries, then check out this playlist. It's got everything you need to know about this infamous region, from the strange lights that have been spotted there to the bizarre stories of survival that have come out of it. You'll even learn about some of the famous people who have investigated the Bermuda Triangle, like the legendary explorer Jacques Cousteau. So if you're ready to dive into the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle, then click on the playlist and let the adventure begin. The waves crash against the rocky Irish coast. The wind whips across the cliffs and through the heather, carrying with it the haunting strains of a lone bagpipe. Before us lies the wild Atlantic, stretching out to the horizon, hiding whatever secrets it may hold. And now, we must ask, Was Hy-Brasil ever real or just a dream shared across centuries?